Hi, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good, thanks. It's a bit warm in the old office. I've got all the windows open, and you might hear the odd plane go by, but apart from that, it's cool. It's been a busy
Oh,
day.
has it? Yeah, me too. So I'm in my garden studio. I've actually built this. This is like a shed in my garden.
This
that I
is
turned
my
into-
garden.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, this
Yours
is
looks a bit more
this
upper
is a
class.
log cabin. It's a log cabin.
Oh, look at that. That's a
Yeah.
proper studio.
It's got a
Mate,
toilet
this
at
is
the end.
made with a hammer and chisel.
I actually,
Yours is well better.
yeah, when I bought the house, I said, "Oh, right, well, I can't be working in the house, and I've always worked from home." I thought I'd build a log cabin. So you've done something similar, but you've got some baffling here, haven't you, to deaden some of the noise?
Oh, yeah. It's a proper man cave.
But there's a nice warm sound to it. Mine's a bit more echoey.
Right. What yours is? Oh, this is. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, well, I did the album in here. So
Did you?
obviously things like the drums and string quartet I did in the studio, but all the guitars, all the vocals, all the keyboards I've done in here. And you know what? It sounds really good. It's been the first major project that I've actually recorded in here, and I'm really pleased with how it sounds. So it's actually quite a nice sounding room. Yeah,
It is. I can feel there's a warmth to it.
you feel the vibe.
Sometimes I do the radio show from here, and sometimes it feels a bit clattery. I need to put some sort of cushions around me or something, to deaden the sound.
Yeah.
But yeah, so hey, you've been recording. You've got a new album coming out soon. Do you want to just go back and tell us what happened? Because obviously you've had quite a career going back to 15, 16 years with The Fall, and then various different projects. And I was just reading through all of the wacky names of them. And maybe reading
Terrible
through
at band name, yeah. I don't ask me to choose your band name. I've got a history of band names that are categorically disasters, all of them. So this time I'm just going under my name. I can't.
Well, that's
I can't
good.
do another band name.
And then you did a collaboration with Paul Heaton, which I was fascinated by, and listened to a bit of that.
Yeah.
And of course, Brix and the Extricated. So I associate you with more of an indie sound, but you sent me a couple of tracks over. I listened to one of them, and it was great. There was character in there. It reminded me of Divine Comedy a little bit. There were quirky little sort of chord changes, and I thought, my God, this is like, it's alive. It makes you want to listen to it. It's quirky and a nice.
Thank you. I've always kind of written stuff like that. I'm really proud of working with all those names you mentioned. But one of the curses of being associated with a band, particularly like The Fall, is people have an expectation of what your music's going to sound like, which is understandable. And that's the biggest curse of having played in that band, because no one really gets to know what actually you're about. So yeah, I've always had quite a wide music taste and written songs like that. So it's nice to be finally getting something out under my own name. It feels good.
But going back to The Fall, my understanding of Marquis Smith is that he was quite good in allowing people to express themselves, to bring tunes to the party. He was quite generous I understand, in the way he allowed people to collaborate, and two, in the way that he distributed the money.
No, you're right. He had to be generous, because otherwise, where would his music come from? He wasn't going to write it, was he? So generous is one way of looking at it. The other way is begging you to write songs for him is another way of looking at it. Really? No, you're right. The way that band developed, I can only speak about my short stint in the band, but it's certainly not about coming in and trying to replicate what you think The Fall should sound like. It was always about, from my experience, bringing your personality into it. And that's why the albums are so diverse, because there's been all those different people who, from different musical backgrounds and different perspectives. So, on that Heads Roll album, I brought my influences to it. You can hear it in Blindness, my Bottle Surfers influence when I was a kid. I listened to the Bottle Surfers. You can hear that Locust Abortion Technician in there. I was really into the Lars and Michael Head and Shaq, so you can hear that in like Midnight in Aspen, that kind of guitar picking, jangly stuff. And same with all the other members. So yeah, that was a really creative time doing that.
And you were allowed to express yourself musically in terms of writing whole songs or lines, or it wasn't just you dropping in a few guitar riffs, was it? Because somebody's got to come up with the melodies.
No, you'd bring in a whole arrangement, and then he'd sit through them, kind of Holston pills in hand, and basically say yes, no, yes, no.
Yeah.
Sometimes he'd do a bit of arranging, so he'd I call it arranging. He'd take a song and destroy it, like rip it to bits, so you're just left with the bare bones, or he might even cut it in half and stick it on to someone else's song, so you'd be sort of linked to them forever in sort of
the credit,
sort of legal hell, trying to get royalties. He was doing that.
And how did the Paul Heaton collaboration come about? Because
I was in a band. He really is. When I was in a band called Tycoon's Follies, which was a band I had with Tom Chapman, who now plays for New Order.
He's in Seafood now as well, isn't he?
He is, yeah. As is Elliot Barlow, who played for Rubber Bear, which was a band that we did later on. Yeah. So Tycoon's Follies were played on the radio quite a bit, in particular All FM by Mog, All FM in Levenshulme, if you know that one. And Mog was a friend of Paul's, and I think Paul heard one of the songs and said, "Who's this?" And he was looking for a band at the time, and it was us, and he put us in touch, and we wrote the Cross-Eyed Rambler album. Me and Paul went to Gran Canaria, wrote a song a day, came back, and we had the album. So
bit of a step up to go into the country to write your album, isn't it? We just went to Gran Canaria.
I think it was a tradition of his. He'd done that in the beautiful South, and we carried on that tradition, and it worked. It was crazy holiday, but it was a really strong work ethic. We sat and we wrote a song a day, drank a lot,
as you do.
Yeah.
So just moving forward then, I was very familiar with Brix and the Extricated, and obviously I was a big Fall fan in the early 80s, even to the late 70s. As I think I explained, I interviewed Brix and the Extricated. In fact, if you're watching this and you look through the videos below and scan to the left, you'll see my interview with Brix and the Extricated. That must have been 4 years ago now.
Was it?
Much, yeah.
I watched that, and I looked. It's in such a bad mood. I felt really bad after watching it. I thought,
you were in a bad mood. You were having a go. You were having a go at the Fall and Marquee and all that sort of stuff. And
I must have been in a bad mood that day, mate. I'm sorry.
It was cool, but you brought the Hanley brothers, or Brix brought the Hanley brothers back together with you and Jason Brown, and you produced a really brilliant, solid body of work there, didn't you? 3 great albums.
Yeah, I'm really proud of those albums. I mean, the first one, I was dead against, because Brix wanted to re-record some of the songs she'd written in the Fall, like LA, and forgotten the names of them now. But and I was dead against that. I was like, no way, we cannot re-record Fall songs. It's all got to be original. Yeah. And in the end, I kind of gave up, and we did. But obviously, there was new songs on there as well. And then after that, the second 2 albums, that was kind of the trajectory of the band, where we developed and wrote new songs. We did some good stuff.
Did you see the bit in the interview where Brix says that the words come down from above? And she was very spiritual, wasn't she? Well, she is.
Well, yeah. I think she did have a bit of an epiphany where she thought, right, I feel like I'm gonna all these songs downloaded. But that was actually an album she did before the Extricated, because the Extricated was very much a band. We all wrote. She wrote the lyrics. So it was a creative time. We all bounced off each other. There was a really strong kind of format to the songs, the way we wrote stuff. Similar to the Fall, we'd bring whole songs in, and sometimes Brix would write a melody over them. Sometimes she'd take the melody and write lyrics. But it worked. It really did work. And we wrote fast as well. We wrote those albums so quickly, and we recorded them pretty much live with just a few episodes. It was
quality stuff. I mean, I came into the studio, if you remember, and I was there, and I think Brix had a little dog called Gladys or something. She was.
That's right, little pug, yeah.
A little pug, and I watched some of the recording going on, and it was very slick, and it was all done very slickly. It was,
we were well rehearsed. A lot of gigs. We'd done a lot of touring at that stage, and we toured all over the UK and parts of Europe, and it was tight. So it was just a case of capturing that. Yes. I love it when that happens.
She's a good front woman as well. I saw her supporting Pill a few weeks ago.
What was that like? I was on the guest list, but I couldn't make it.
It was great. I mean, I love Pill, and I quickly
I do.
got the back of interviewing John Lydon, so it was totally appropriate that I go down. And I covered it for Louder Than War. I watched all the way through. I think it was difficult for Brix because every track was new. And apart from Totally Wired, the set was all new. But she got the girls from My Bloody Valentine and Do for the S's, the two girls. And I can't remember that there's Deb, isn't there? And the other one, I can't.
I know Deb. She played with us once, yeah.
Yeah, great bassist. Really good. Chunky bassist. So that kind of set the foundation and underpinned everything. And of course, you've got Brix at the front doing what Brix does. And the front woman. And I suppose the only thing that let it down is unfamiliarity. They just needed more oxygen, basically, which is, you know, how I summed it up. You know, they were great songs, but you can't really be dancing around to brand new stuff that you've not heard before. So
difficult, isn't it? Yeah.
It's tough, you know, and there was a bit of that when I first saw Brix and the Extricated, and I think I must have saw you 3 or 4 times. It was difficult at the beginning, and that's why the fall songs were so welcome, because it shooed you in. It slippered you into the audience that was expecting to hear the fall, but then that audience kind of changed over the period that you were a group. And I guess some of the more hardcore fall fans fell away as fewer fall tracks were played as part.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Well, that was the plan, I reckon. I reckon that was the plan. What better way of doing it?
I suppose so. I mean, you know, we certainly weren't trying to please them, but it kind of got things going, didn't it? And there was a momentum. So
absolutely. And
in hindsight, it probably was a good idea putting those songs in the set. I mean, me being me, you know, I'm a total stick in the mud with stuff like that. I went through a period of my life not wanting to talk about the fall, and that was probably in that interview. But I've got over it.
Well,
I've got over it in my old age.
Yeah, well, that's cathartic. It's mentally refreshing that you've moved forward and left all that sort of baggage behind, really, isn't it?
Yeah. There were some good memories. Not a lot, but there were some good ones.
Now, I mean, one of the joys of seeing Brix and the Extricated, and I will move on, was seeing the Hanley brothers together again, and that wonderful rhythm section, that unique sound that they could create between the two of them. And then obviously Jason and yourself. I just thought it was the perfect setup, you know. You'd got 2 great guitarists. Jason is legendary, you know, I've seen him Patient and that he does with his wife. And so I knew about him before Brix. And obviously, you know, I didn't know you, but you're the great barbel fisher, of course. You know.
Oh, you can't talk about fishing. I don't fish. What are you talking about?
I don't talk about fishing. That's a Dave Gleam thing.
Oh, Dave, yeah.
Chasing the ball. So I just thought it was just, in many ways, it was like the perfect band, because you'd got this great front woman and you'd got these 2 great guitarists and the rhythm section from Heaven, you know. So
those guys are brilliant. It really was a great band. Those 2, having them 2 behind you when you're playing, is just the greatest feeling ever.
I bet.
Yeah, they're superb. And, you know, I'd always been a fan of Steve's. Obviously, you know, when I joined the Fall, what's the first thing I joined the Fall on bass, remember? I was a bass player when I joined. So what's the first thing you do? You know, you look at old Fall records, and so that his bass lines were like ingrained in my head. So, you know, I said to him once, you know, you're a bit of hero of mine, you know. And of course he was embarrassed because he's
don't tell him that. He's so humble.
You know, he is. But he's superb, and I've always admired that kind of non-musical approach to music, and the magic that you can get from people who approach it with a completely different motive to most musicians. Their motives are often very limited and different, and you can really hear some magical things. So it's great to be in a band with him, and Paul.
Unique bouncing quality to it that you don't get with Jar Wobble or, you know, even John Robb or Bill Laswell, you know, my hero bassists. He's off the scale somewhere else, isn't he? It's the naiveness to it.
He's brilliant. The only annoying thing was he's based, because of his tone, really like sort of trebly and middly tone.
Yeah,
he sat right in the mid range, just where the guitar's detail is.
You have to work around it, did you?
Yeah, so all your intricacies were just totally blasted by his bass. So he had to think differently, you know. And he won't mind me saying that.
Well, I guess that in your order.
Totally drove it, you know.
Yeah. Hooky must have had that problem, or Barney must have had that problem in New Order, because with Hooky playing right up the neck and everything's like, sounds like the bottom E on the guitar, you've got the same problem, haven't you? You've got to weave around it.
Absolutely. That was by design, though, wasn't it? Wasn't that Ian Curtis's idea?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. You must go and see New Dawn Fades, the play that Brian Gorman wrote about Division. That's cool. It gives you a little bit of insight into,
I know a few of the actors in that, I think.
Oh dear, Sean Mason and
yeah.
Don't know all of them, but I've seen it 3 times now. I can't go and see it again. But yeah.
Is it story now? Is it
no, Giles Bastow and Brian Gorman.
So I know Giles, and Neil Bell was in it as well, wasn't he?
That's right. Well, they've settled the differences a little bit. I think they fell out and they've kind of got together again and said, right, okay, well, now we're going to tour it. And so they're doing it through a few different venues. But it's fascinating, really, just to go off piste. But then, okay, so then Brix comes to an end and it's all amicable, I believe. So you've kind of done what you set out to do.
Well, we never actually officially split up. There was never a conversation to say, all right, this is run its course.
Yeah.
Lockdown happened. Loads of the gigs obviously were cancelled. There was one that was rescheduled that we did, like a punk festival. So we did that one. Yeah. And then during that time, I was writing a lot. I guess Brix was, and I guess the others were. And we just kind of did other things. I'm still waiting for the phone call. I don't know if I'll say yes or not.
You can be the sole male member of the band.
No, not for that band. If the Extricated got together again. I mean.
Oh, I see. Yes, of course. Well, there's no reason why it should. I think Brix wants to do her own thing with a female band. I think she wants to just go on a separate trajectory, and it might not be forever. It is just one of those things, isn't it?
Well, for me, I've always written my own stuff, but I think in the past I've given too much energy to other projects when I should have done stuff under my own name before.
I thought that, looking back through your career, you were part of The Fall. The Fall was a machine, and you can only express yourself so much because there's a Fall sound, and therefore you've got to fall into the sound, and also you've got Mark driving everything. So it's almost working for somebody else for those years, and then kind of going self-employed, isn't it? That's the analogy, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, even when I was doing stuff whilst I was in that band, it's seen through, people see you through 4 goggles, and people still do.
Yeah,
people still see me like that, and they expect me to be writing stuff that's like that. And I don't know. I've always been in bands where I've written stuff. I'm not a musician type musician. I'm not like a session guitarist, or I don't even see myself as a guitarist. I've always been in a band as a songwriter who plays as well. That's always been my role.
You're not just been given a piece of music to play, or
I've never done that. And I probably couldn't do that. It's always been a creative thing. That's what drives me to write and to arrange. But I think I've said yes to things too much in the past, and I've jumped into bed with people far too quickly over the years, and now for what little time I've got left.
How's the time? You're young. Well, you've got plenty of time, mate. Come on.
Wish I was, mate.
So just closing on that then, I believe that Paul and Steve are playing now with Tom Hingley.
I saw that. They've got that back together again. That's great. I must go see him,
Yeah. So like I said, John Rob's just interviewed them. He's just interviewed Paul and Tom. So that's actually live on Louder Than War now. So it might still be there when this is published. So
that's all they used to talk about in the tour bus. They'd always just talk about the Lovers and Tom Hingley stories. And at first it was like, this is quite interesting. But then it kept going on and on and on. And I think at one point I said, "Will you shut the fuck up talking about that band?" And it was just this kind of deadly silence.
We obviously, had fond memories of them. And,
I know, and some of the stories were funny. They really were.
It's nice that they've got a band to be in. I mean, with respect to both of them, they're not getting any younger, and it's nice to see them all sort of, And Jason's there as well, I believe.
Yeah, lovely guys. That's of all the bands I've been in.
Yeah.
That was the nicest band, the nicest bunch of people to actually work with, genuinely.
Yeah.
Because as you know, the there's some arseholes out there, and I've probably worked with all of them. And that band was just full of lovely people, genuinely nice people. So I kind of miss that bit.
So you were talking before about everybody expects you to write fall type stuff or deep indie type stuff. So let's just come on to your new stuff, because it's very, very musical. They're the great melodies. As I said to you, it reminded me a little bit of Divine Comedy, but slightly more of an indie edge to it. Right. Divine Comedy can be very light and fluffy. So you take some of the elements of that and then sort of infuse it with some sort of deep indie stuff going on. It sounded, although is that the real you? Is that how you write songs?
The way I write songs is very eclectic. So it's very hard to put me in a box. And when you hear the album, you'll think, oh my God, there's so many styles on there. There's kind of Baroque acoustic folk on there. There's a country song with pedal steel guitar, like a full-on Glenn Campbell type arrangement. Yeah. There's some more angular kind of stuff that sounds like Pavement. There's some weirder Syd Barrett stuff. There's stuff that you can set on a back album. But through all of it is what I love, which is melody and chords and interesting chords, and that's what inspires me. Obviously lyrics as well, but there's all the songs take on a lot of different guises, but essentially the pop songs,
right?
And that's where I'm at, where my heart is really. When I was growing up, I was a massive Lars fan. Yeah. Still, Lee Mavers is still probably my favourite songwriter. I was really into Michael Nesmith about the Monkees.
Really?
I was devastated when he died.
Yeah.
Syd Barrett, Neil Innes.
Mike Nesmith.
What's that?
What was Michael Nesmith's band called? He had a big band, didn't he?
Michael Nesmith and the First National Band was the band he formed after the Monkees.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic, underrated songwriter. Neil Innes, out of the Bonzo Dog Band, is a huge influence. I think I've always liked secret heroes. The underdog. The underdogs, great songwriters who never quite received the attention that maybe they deserved.
I don't think Neil Innes ever did. I mean, he wrote Urban Spaceman, 1968, one of the best pop songs ever, produced by Paul McCartney. I was telling
Apollo C. Vermouth.
Apollo C. Vermouth. I was telling my quizmaster friend that the other day. And of course, How Sweet to Be an Idiot, the way he could construct on the piano, on the guitar. He was the core of the Bonzos, wasn't he, really?
Well, that song, How Sweet to Be an Idiot, that's what Oasis ripped, wasn't it, for whatever?
Yeah, they got done for it, yeah.
Yeah. I think he's got a royalty now on that, hasn't he?
I think he has.
Well,
I don't even know if
his estate has.
Well, I don't know if it's a co-writing royalty or the way it's sole royalty, because it was virtually the same, wasn't it? Forever.
Absolutely. But when you see him interviewed about it, he's so gentlemanly about it. He doesn't say at any point, oh, they ripped me off. He just says, oh, it's just one of those things, It's similarities. He's such an affable, lovely guy. Well, he was such a lovely guy, wasn't he?
I think he died a couple of years ago. I was talking to Mikko Westmoreland from Mikko and the Mellotronics, and he actually did some recording with him very late in his career, produced by Nick Lowe. So,
wow.
And with Neil Innes, can you imagine?
Wow, incredible.
Yeah, just amazing. So you're infusing the song. You're making pop songs. You call them pop songs.
I call them pop.
Like pop.
Well, pop's become a dirty word, and I want to change that, because, like, if you remember, XTC tried to reclaim the word pop. Yeah. This is pop. We write pop music. It's quirky and it's weird and it's got all these weird angular influences, but it's essentially pop music. That's how I see pop music. Most people don't see pop music like that. They see it as a commercial thing, or like a radio hit that makes your ears bleed. I see pop music as the greatest art form ever, which pop music really is and was, and that's what it stood for.
Yeah. So
I see it in quite a kind of retro way, really.
Well, it's popular music. It's music for the masses. And it depends.
Exactly.
It depends how pop you want to be. Do you want to be? You've got the Nicki Minaj's of this world and the Dua Lipas and the all that sort of thing that's going on at the top of the pop charts. But the different type of pop that can obviously appeal to a wide range of people, but they might not be 16 to 18-year-olds or 14 to 16-year-olds. And I think there lies the difference. You can write pop songs that are popular, but they won't necessarily be, be liked by the kids, the young kids.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't expect to be liked by the kids. It's a difference between a shiny Formica surface and a lovely old oak table with grooves that's porous. You know, they're both the same thing, but both have a completely different surface and effect and vibe. You know.
Yeah. And is there a lead single that's going to come out of this then, Steve?
Well, the first single's going to be As Good As It Gets, and that's coming out in September, start of September. Right. There's about 4 singles I've selected off the album. The album's quite short, 9 songs.
Oh,
I like
really?
short albums. Yeah, it's. I mean, some of the songs are over 5 minutes long, but it's still a fairly short album.
Yeah,
it's a very succinct, small piece of work, really. But yeah, Good As It Gets is the first one, which is the one you've heard.
Yes.
And that's coming out start of September.
Yeah. And how soon can we start to share this stuff then? I mean, obviously September's a couple of months away, isn't it? 3 months away.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously I'm starting the whole campaign now with the press release and the radio stuff. So hopefully it's going to start getting a bit of radio play prior to that. Yeah. You can share it with whoever you want, mate. That link I sent.
Right. Because it's on SoundCloud, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's a private link, that, just to send to sort of select people. But it will actually be available on SoundCloud. Well, sorry, available on Spotify and also on my Bandcamp page at the start of September.
Right.
But I might do little kind of tasters and stuff on Facebook. And
I think you need to put out like a 15-minute section or something like that. You know, I remember
I need to do something, don't I? Because I keep putting the same. I keep saying single coming soon.
I know it's all this like anticipation, but we're not getting the main event, are we? So it's a long way away. And I remember when Elbow brought out Seldom Seen Kid, and they had that big hook for Grounds for Divorce, and it was on the radio, and it was just like a 5-second segment or 10-second segment, just a little tasty, what's to come sort of thing.
You've inspired me. I'll
maybe that's the way to do it.
Oh, we'll do it. It's good when people say things like this to me, because this whole album came about through a conversation in the pub with my 2 mates, Mark and Alex, who I've known for years. Yeah. And it was basically like an ambush. They said to me, why are you not recording an album? Why are you not doing your own solo stuff? And I really didn't have an excuse. And it really was like I was being cornered, and they wouldn't let me get out of there without me agreeing to basically do it. Mark Brown's a brilliant designer. He's done all the artwork for the single and the album, and my website and what you see on Facebook and stuff. So he's one of the guys. The other guy, Alex Comolosi, basically ambushed me and told me to do it. And it's amazing what effect all it takes sometimes is someone to say something positive to you and to believe in you, for you to completely change your mindset and feel inspired and have the energy to do something. So I owe a lot to them too for kicking up the arse, really.
I think you need that sometimes, don't you? But my experience of songwriters, and obviously I've spoken to quite a lot, is that they never stop writing. And they're always putting little licks down or filling a book full of lyrics or something like that. I remember watching the Ian Dury documentary, and actually I was with Chris Hewitt, who used to be one of Ian Dury's roadies. And he just had books and books and books with just a few lines or a poem or, whatever. And, this little melody here, a little voice recorder here with a little tune in it or whatever, and then they just start pulling it all together. And I guess you must be similar. You must be doing stuff all the time.
It's just there all the time. I mean, when they did say this ambush happened, I thought, shit, well, how am I going to do that? And then I realised that I'd written 8 or 9 songs during lockdown without even knowing it, because like any songwriter will know this, you just do it. It's not by design. You just pick up a guitar or sit at the piano or whatever, and you just write something that you do. And you don't even think that you're kind of writing a song. You just kind of stockpiling ideas on your phone or whatever. And I realised I had these 9 songs that just happened without me trying. So here I am recording them. So let's see what people think of them,
It's an accumulation of a few years' work, then, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I mean, it started in lockdown. I've kind of obviously fine-tuned them since then, but they all happened very quickly. And there's some very angry songs on there about, some of it's about the frustration of being a dad, and being in lockdown, but also recognizing that you've got some, you love your partner and they're driving you insane, but you realize, you need them and kind of you hate them and you love them. And it's all kind of about that struggle.
I was going to ask you about the themes of the album, because obviously you've said already it's quite eclectic in its musical forms. It sounds like it's quite eclectic in its themes and therefore lyrics and feeling as well.
Yeah, there's all sorts on there. There's one song about a guy who strives to achieve something and always feels that he underachieves and always feels like he falls short of that mark, and he feels like a failure in life. Yet everyone around him thinks he's great and thinks he's actually done loads of stuff. And something you see quite a lot. You often don't know that people think you're great and you've done great things when you actually yourself you're not feeling that glory. So that's a kind of tribute to.
But you see that a lot on Facebook, don't you? There's a lot of mental health issues going on Facebook where people do feel compromised and they feel they're a bit of a failure or they're letting the family down or whatever, but externally, of course, all you see is all the good bits, don't you? All the smiles and the silly videos and funny faces. So I think social media is guilty in sort of upholding that, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it scares me, really. It scares me because I've got a 6-year-old son who's on YouTube a lot. Obviously, I monitor it and stuff, but
into early
I do worry about what he picks up from it. I really do. Even though on the kids' YouTube as well,
Yeah.
Just the aggressive advertising. It's really aggressive.
I've got a 2-year-old grandson, and he just can't keep his eyes away from twirly woos. These little
twirly woos.
Yeah, twirly woos. These little multi characters that jump around and get into all sorts of trouble. But yeah, you see it, don't you? And you feel that the kids of today, they are living their lives through a lens, aren't they? They are living their lives in front of a screen, whether that be having your breakfast and, we've got to calm Charlie down, put a video on, and they sit there eating with the video on in front of them with YouTube on to keep them entertained. I think the biggest challenge of a father these days is to get the kid outside and jumping up and down on the trampoline with his mates,
Absolutely. I try and get them, I've got a daughter as well, try and get them interested in nature, trying to get them to go fishing with me, but they're not having it. They're just not interested at all. I said, look at it, this is like the most perfect meditative thing in the countryside, and you must come with me,
It's just a bit of a challenge, Steve, sitting on a riverbank for 7 hours or whatever it is.
Oh, well, yeah.
At 5 a.m.
I can't even keep their attention for half an hour, so yeah, a day of fishing is lost on them completely.
Good times.
But yeah, there's one song about lying awake at night in that kind of hypnagogic state when you're trying to sleep and you're going insane, your thoughts are going through your mind and you're kind of hallucinating. There's a song dedicated to that. All very relatable themes, really.
And in terms of the musicians on the album, obviously you've got your studio there. Have you done all the guitars, all the drums, or have you pulled other people in to collaborate and help you fill in some gaps?
I've done all the vocals, all the guitars, all the keyboards, some of the bass, and I've written all the strings and all the brass parts. But I've used people. I used a guy called Matt Burke, did all the brass, fantastic player. I used a girl called Maria Grigg, she played all the string parts for me. The bass was played by a guy called Stuart Easton. So there's been lots of people. Sorry, just really turn this off. Is going to make a sound any minute. Richard Young played drums. Elliot Barlow played drums, who plays for Sea Fever, and also the Extricated. He's standing for Paul Hanley. So yeah, the rhythm sections and the kind of extraneous type orchestral people I've used other people, but the kind of bare bones of it is me. Yeah.
Good.
Excellent. And it's all getting produced by 2 engineers who are doing an absolutely wonderful job. One's a guy called Robert Schneider, who's in a band called The Apples in Stereo. He was a singer,
Yeah.
And another guy called Hamish Benjamin in Brighton who runs a studio called Somewhere Studios. And together,
you send
really,
all the stems down there, do you, to get all pulled together? And
I send all the stems, and they send a mix back, and then it be to and fro until it's right. But the great thing about them is they get my references. So if I say, I want this to sound like Wire, or I want this to sound like Father John Misty, that they know those references and they can kind of tweak it. Because I've really struggled with engineers in the past, because a lot of them, they just have this conveyor belt attitude, and they're not musical, a lot of them. These guys are actual musicians as well as engineers and producers.
Helps a lot.
There's the chemistry there, which is really working. You know,
it sounds great. I look forward to it. Obviously, I've had a little bit of a taste now. You know, it sounds like having a spoonful of curry and you want the rest. So I look forward to hearing the rest of it. To be honest,
you'll be the first to get it, mate. As soon as I get some more songs, I'll send you a link,
and then you can whack them across, and we'll do a proper review on Louder Than War. And in the meantime, no, it's a pleasure. And in the meantime, we'll have this little taster video, and as soon as there's any track at all, we can drop this in below in the same thing, and people can have a bit of a listen to it as well.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Nice one. And just before you go, because I think we've probably covered everything, have you got any weird hobbies apart from fishing that we don't know about?
Weird hobbies?
It's always not my favourite. It's always the last question that I ask anybody that I'm interviewing. And I've had extreme frisbee, extreme Lego, all sorts of things. John Lydon was artist, and of course I knew he was, but he showed me some of his pictures that he was painting with his wife Nora in.
Oh yeah.
Have you got any weird hobbies that people need to know?
Well, I'm a bit of an artist as well. That was my first love before music. I was always going to get into animation. So a bit of a cartoonist on the quiet, yeah. Comic strips and stuff. It's great having kids because you can draw, because they love that, and I can just draw comic strips for them all day. Yeah. But I've got a load of characters in a kind of Viz style. Big Viz fan.
I'm a big Viz fan. I get it every month. I'm surprised there isn't one in here. I've been getting Viz for as long as I can remember. I think it's just the funniest thing out there. I love the Drunken Bakers every couple of weeks, every month.
Dark, isn't it? So funny.
So dark. And the Mail Online as well. That is even darker.
I'll tell you a little bit story you'll like. Remember that ad that used to say, had a lad stood there and said, "Got no job, got no work, got no money, then fuck off." That's Paul Hanley.
Is that right?
Yeah, people used to wear it on the t-shirts. That's Paul Hanley. He posed for that. If you Google it,
pull him up on that. Yeah.
Paul Hanley.
I know it. I know the ad. Yeah, I know the t-shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant! Absolutely superb. Well, that's been great. Thanks so much, Steve, for filling us in on what you're up to. It's been great to hear everything, a little bit of the history as well. And I wish you well with the new release. I hope it goes well. Obviously, we'll support you as much as we can, and it's been really great to talk to you today. Thanks for having me. I've really enjoyed it. Nice one, Steve. Thanks very much. You too, mate.